While many fans regarded the incident as a humorous case of Johnny being Johnny, others saw it as evidence of dangerous and potentially deadly problem. Heard busted drinking and driving. She hilariously caused it. Johnny was extremely intoxicated, a witness from that night tells Star magazine. There were times he had to have someone help him stand. He couldn't say a complete sentence. It wasn't the first time in recent years that Depp's been visibly drunk in public, and sources say his inner circle is deeply concerned. Naturally, no one is more worried about Johnny's problematic drinking than his young fiancée, Amber Heard. Heard and Depp got engaged in early 2014 and are said to be planning a walk down the aisle before the end of the year. Now, however, insiders claim that Amber is ready to call the whole thing off unless Johnny seeks treatment. There's chatter in Johnny's camp about rehab, one source claimed. At this point, he's driving everyone, including Amber, away. Depp has been lying low since the night of HFAs, leading many to believe he's already checked himself into a treatment facility. But whether he goes to rehab or not, we're guessing after the PR nightmare of the past week, Mr. Depp will make sure he's a bit more intelligible the next time he presents an award. The Hollywood Film Awards were held last night, and if you've never heard of the event, don't worry, neither has anyone else. It was the first time the awards were televised. A-listers from Ben Affleck to producer James L. Brooks publicly dismissed the HFAs as a joke. But the best indicator of just how seriously Hollywood takes the Hollywood Film Awards was Johnny Depp's BAC. Yes, it seems Depp employed the Captain Jack Sparrow method for coping with pre-show jitters and downed a barrel of rum backstage. Hey, Johnny might be in his 50s, but he's engaged to Amber Heard, who's only 28. Maybe he figures if she's not gonna take full advantage of her youth, then he'll party hard enough for both of them. The sight of Depp slurring and stumbling his way through what should have been a 30-second speech makes us nostalgic for the days of his booze and coke-fueled relationship with Kate Moss. Ah, memories. In case you can't tell, Johnny is presenting an award to Shep Gordon, subject of a new documentary Supermensch, because apparently the HFAs are the sort of a show that honors people for being the subject of a documentary. Sounds like the kind of night that requires a drink or a 12 in order to make it tolerable. Hunter S. Thompson would approve. We thought we knew everything that was to know about the life and times of Kim Kardashian. In the last few days, however, we've learned about her past. And dare we say, it's all making us like her a lot more. First, we saw video of Kim when she was 13 and acting a fool of her 8th grade graduation. It seems the revelation that she was as corny and annoying as the rest of us in her middle school years has only helped her reputation. Corny and I actually shared a room at one point growing up, Kim said. I loved Johnny Depp. I was obsessed with him. She was really into Leonardo DiCaprio, so we had cutouts of them on the wall next to our Michael Jackson posters. Okay, is Kim running for office or something? What's with all the relatable stories about how she was just a normal kid and wasn't actually incredibly spoiled growing up? Kim even said Northwest will have to get a job someday to buy the things she wants, just like Kim did. We don't know if we actually buy that young Kim used to save her paychecks to buy posters of Johnny Depp, but at least she's trying to come off as normal. She's turning into the anti-Gwyneth Paltrow, and that's something we can definitely get behind. Amber Heard's personal assistant has accused the actor of stealing her own experience of being a victim of sexual violence and twisting it into a different story. In evidence given remotely from Los Angeles, Kate James also said she had regularly received a barrage of drunken, abusive, and incoherent text messages from Heard between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. James was answering questions during the libel trial brought by Heard's ex-husband, Johnny Depp, 57, who was suing the Sun's publisher, News Group Newspapers or NGN, and its executive editor Dan Wooton over an article that called Depp a wife beater and referred to overwhelming evidence that he had attacked Heard. Depp denies ever hitting Heard, 34, who was submitted details of 14 occasions during their relationship when she claims he assaulted her. The paper had to prove the allegations are substantially true. In her second witness statement to the court, James said she had been the victim of rape in Brazil when she was in her 20s and that the experience had haunted her ever since. When she read Heard's submissions, James said, "To my utter shock and dismay, I discovered that Ms. Heard had in fact stolen my sexual violence conversation with her and twisted it into her own story to benefit herself. This of course caused me extreme distress and outrage that she would dare to attempt to use the most harrowing experience of my life as her own narrative. James told the court that although she had been subpoenaed to give evidence, she was doing so because she is a sexual violence survivor, and it's very serious to take that stance if you are not alone. At that point, Sasha was accused representing the Sun abandoned her cross-examination of James. Referring to Heard's drinking habits, James said in a witness statement, Amber would drink vast quantities of red wine each night. In court, questioned by Depp's counsel, David Sherborne, James added, I would receive a barrage of drunken text messages between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. that were incoherent and abusive. In a final comment, James said Heard was probably the least known person she had been employed by in Hollywood. Earlier, the court was told by Depp's former butler that Heard often drank a bottle or two of wine a night when she was with Depp, and she was the antagonizer in the relationship. Ben King, who looked after homes where the couple stayed in London, Australia and Vancouver, said he had, however, noticed on one occasion what he thought were cuts on her arm when they returned to Los Angeles. King, who gave a second statement for the trial at the beginning of this week, said he had told when interviewed for the job that Mr. Depp was teetotal, having been a drinker. He told the court the only drug he had seen the Pirates of the Caribbean star take was cannabis. He seemed to smoke cannabis sometimes around house. He also said Depp was always polite. In his first statement, King, whose role was described as house manager or butler, said, I frequently witnessed Mr. Heard goading and attempting to provoke Mr. Depp. I never witnessed Mr. Depp to be violent or unkind towards Ms. Heard or indeed anyone else. King said he had not seen Depp drink during their stay in London. It was Heard who was drinking the wine, King said. I believe she would regularly drink at least 1 or 2 bottles a night. I made a tally of the bottles of wine left on the counter or in the bins when I arrived each morning. I was usually the first one there. I would often see Ms. Heard drinking wine.